Here. So we're going to be joined by Jake here in a minute. There he is.
Oh, my man.
How are you doing?
This is awesome. Who do we got? Who do we got joining us today? Is that Kimberly? Oh, yeah. Kimberly. So nice to see you on here. Whoa.
We got Jane and Danielle. Lots of people tuning in to see you here.
Wow. Wow. How do I share this on my Instagram? Is it already sharing?
I think it should be already sharing.
Cool.
But if not, I can send you the file when we're done. And then
awesome. Awesome.
Hi, Kimberly.
Hello, everybody.
So,
like my rocket ship?
I do like your rocket ship. Do you want to? Well, let's start. I want you to talk about the rocket ship here in a minute. But so we're joined by Jake. Jake just opened at the International Dyslexia Conference just last week. A year after kind of getting into this work and releasing The Forgotten Child, and now you're speaking at the conference opening. Jake, welcome. Thanks so much for taking the time to talk on Dyslexia You Are Not Alone Instagram Live.
Oh, I am so, I am a huge fan. I have to say, I love just what you're doing, Jared, and having people share their story and just, it's important. So thank you for what you're doing, and I'm happy to be here.
No, it's awesome. And Jake's joining us from the East Coast. He is, what's up, Jesse? Jesse's in the house as well here.
Jesse, yeah, it's 10 o'clock. I'm in my PJs. I'm just
yeah, as it should be. No, but you're dialed in. You were just training people, training mentors. You're burning the night oil, right?
Oh yeah, it was a 2-hour training we have. So I run a mentorship program called Superpower Consulting, and this work is designed to really create a willingness to learn. Guys, there's a whole journey that happens before learning takes place. Can you imagine? And that's what we're focusing on. How do we expect our kids to want to be open to learning? Well, let me rephrase that. I'm sorry. It's a little bit late. We can't expect our kids to be open to learning if they don't have the openness in the first place. We can't teach our kids reading if they don't want to read in the first place. So what we're doing is we're creating that willingness to learn. And the only way to do that is through shared emotional experiences. It's going to be with someone who's been there, who can relate, who can say, I've actually have been through what you've been through. That is the power of mentorship right there.
Oh, yeah. It's really powerful. And I want to get more into this, but let's start with your journey, because you were that student. You had learning, you were challenged in the learning classroom, learning environment. Can you take us through that experience and some of the challenges that you had and how you felt in the classroom?
Yeah, I have to say that it really started third grade. By the way, if I'm covering up the mic here, I'm sorry. It really happened in third grade, where it was independent reading time, and it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare every single time. I was constantly kicked out of the classroom. My buddy teacher and the principal were my best friends, aka arch enemy, the whole thing, because I just I'm an auditory learner.
Okay.
And what would happen is I would sit down and read a book, but it wasn't how I was taught. It's not how I read. And I didn't know that at the time. I was in third grade. But what would happen, Jared, is I would become a behavior problem. Because how do we expect a child to want to read if that's not their strength through visuals? And it just got worse and worse, to the point of where I remember I found the analysis of my third grade year. It was a 2-paragraph analysis of Jake Sussman. 8 of those sentences talked about my behavior problem and how I, as a third grader, needed to be more responsible for my learning and for my attention. To me, it doesn't make sense. And I'm happy my parents never showed me that report card, because this is what's happening all the time, my friends watching this. This is happening to our kids, our teachers. And this isn't to attack teachers. I'm a fan of teachers. Our teachers are working harder than ever before. But if
Agreed.
we can't look past the behavior problem, then we're dealing with something that is very challenging. So, okay, let's go back to my story. Sixth grade. So I'm getting a little bit older, and this was the lowest point of my life. This was the lowest point. I was full of fear, anxiety, and stress. I was, told I would never go to college. Communication skills would be one of my life's biggest challenges. How am I doing? My communication?
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
you got it.
Yeah.
You got
Okay.
this.
Okay. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And it was, my parents pulled me out in the middle of the school year without a plan. That's right. My parents pulled me out of school without a plan. Nothing mattered except for my emotional well-being. Because again, we can't expect a child to want to be in a safe learning environment if they're not open to it, if they're turned off. It's just not going to happen.
And I
So
think
go ahead.
I think you're touching on something that's really key, and I want the audience to know. And Jesse's on board here. She's totally sees
Hi,
it the same
Jesse.
way you are. But the behavior is really the symptom of actually like what's occurring. And if you're trying to address the symptom without really understanding the underlying thing, which you are getting to the heart at in your mentorship program, which we're going to continue to talk about, but that's what really needs to be identified is it's not the behavior is just a symptom of what's really occurring with the students.
Right. Right. It's the result of the thing. A lot of times our kid are we're so quick to slap the label.
Yeah.
We're so quick to say, oh, behavioral problem, or oh, my kid's lazy, or oh, my kid's playing video games all the time, doesn't want to do anything with their life. Right? So we're so quick to draw the conclusion when in reality what we're seeing is the result of the thing. There's something happening underneath the surface that we don't see. It's like, how many times, if you parents watching this, how many times have you asked your kids, how was school today? How many times? Please, I want you to write it down below. I want you to say, how many times? I want to know. I know you're out there. But I don't have kids, but I've been the recipient of that. And my response,
How many
it was
times
good.
how many times were you asked as a
Oh,
kid? Do you remember?
oh, every day. How was school? How was school? It was good. End of conversation.
Yeah.
But what does good mean? There's so much under good. Good could be, actually, I was bullied today. Good could be, I failed a quiz today. I don't want to share it out of fear that I'm going to get in trouble. Whatever that is.
Totally.
That's what good can mean. So there is so much more underneath the surface there. Jane, so nice to see you.
Jane asked it every day. She asked that question every day.
Every day. It's fascinating to know. Look at the response. I don't know. It was good. It was fine. End of conversation.
So
But what?
hold up.
Yeah.
I want to dive into because there was okay. So sixth grade is your lowest point. Where does it turn for you? Because I think that's important.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. So it turned for me. So I actually found myself at the Southport School, which is a school for high functioning learning and attention challenges. And I never forget the moment when I realized that I was in a safe environment. Well, not just safe, but in the right environment, where I had a very hard time completing my sentences. And as a result of my insecurity about always being corrected all the time. So it came time to being my turn. And we were sitting around in a small group, Jared, and about maybe 6 other kids. And this was in 7th grade at the time. And I was starting to freak out because I know that I wasn't going to complete my sentences, and I was about to embarrass myself at this new school called the Southport School, formerly called Eagle Hill. And it came time to my turn, and what my answer was, the question was, where do you want to, if you were to go anywhere, where would you go? And I wanted to go to Disney World. So here I go. You ready?
Yeah.
I want to go to I want to go to and then, wait a minute. The most amazing thing happened. The girl next to me, Disney World? And I looked at her and I was like, yeah. And then the next sentence, the kid next to her completed my next sentence. And that was the moment I realized that these kids, they weren't necessarily so different from me. We actually had at least one thing in common. And they were able to complete my sentences to help me out because they understood. Now, I want to just recognize too that not everyone may have the opportunity to go to a private school. Okay.
Totally.
And we can dive into that too. So if you want, we can do it now or later. But I just want to say that we can dive into that. So yeah.
Yeah, let's address it. But you're onto something here, I think, in terms of a point of the community learning that's taking place and how we aren't that much different from one another. And I think I would like to hear what that did for you in that moment and what that really like, because this is your turning point. So what did that do? What did that achieve? Where did you?
It gave me. I want to tell you an analogy to answer your question, okay? Because
Cool.
I like avoiding questions as much as possible.
Yeah,
No,
I know.
I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
You're great.
No. But it's important that you understand the analogy. I want you to imagine an academic journey like the construction of a house. Without the proper support, the house will fall down. Now, we never see the foundation, but we know it's there and strong, so that whatever is built on top will support it. It's kind of like a brick. Don't ask why I happen to have a brick, but I have a brick with me. And so what that did for me was it built a foundation. It built a foundation for me so that whatever will be built on top of that will support it. And that was when I realized that was my moment of like, everything that I can do now, I can build instead of survive. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. It's a great analogy.
I had to bring it home. Yeah.
I love that you have a brick right there. We had a comment, and I think it makes sense. There's a teacher that's teaching their students on Zoom right now, and she's learned to ask what's going on with their students, and then just sit back and listen.
Wait, Jarek, you said that one more time. You just cut out for a sec. I apologize.
Yeah, there's an educator on the line, and she writes that she asks her students what's going on, and then sits back and listens to and not talk, just listen to what they have to say. Doesn't ask how they're doing, asks what's going on.
Nice.
I think that's
yeah. I know. I'm just reading it also. So that's really that's great. That's great. I mean, a lot of times kids, again, look, Zoom's tough because there's a lot of external distractions. There's a lot of things. They could be distracted on the computer. I love seeing their eyes moving back and forth and then being like, so what are you looking at?
Right.
But I also want to understand that as a teacher, it's hard to be in control of a class of X amount of kids and knowing if they're all focused. But the thing is empowering our kids to have roles. Kids love jobs. They love feeling important and empowered. So my advice for you is, if anything, let's empower our kids to have a job in class so that they will be focused and want to listen for their task.
Awesome. So I want to dive into your work. Just a reminder, we are with the International Dyslexia Association Oregon branch. Dyslexia You're Not Alone is our Instagram handle. Feel free to drop us a question here, or if you're online and just want to email us a question, we're here to help and support in any way we can. Jake, so you're gaining this foundation, and I think that really segues into the work that you're doing now. And if you could, I know you mentioned it earlier, the Superpower Consulting, but what is it that you are doing? Because you're really working to be a game changer in the field and dive into these students' strengths. So how are you doing this?
Yeah, that's awesome. So, like I said earlier, and if you're just tuning in, I'm going to repeat myself, but the most important thing here is relatability, is creating a space to enter our kids' worlds. Our kids won't open up if it's not on their turf. It's going to be very challenging. We work with over 40 kids now from around the world, okay? And we pride ourselves on this fact that we are able to establish a relationship within 4 weeks simply by entering their world. If your kid's playing video games, playing Roblox or Minecraft, guess what we're doing as their mentor? Oh, we're going to play Roblox in video games with them, not as entertainment, but as a vessel to connect. And when we're able to connect with our kids, the most incredible thing happens, because we can now bond with them and say, hey, I've been there, man, or I've been there, and it's okay. to feel the way you feel. And the work becomes very important because we're not fixing problems. We're not, actually, one of our philosophies is that we don't know anything. What? It's true. One of our philosophies is that we don't know anything because why would we have all the answers when it's not our life, it's your life? Our job is to paint a new perspective. For example, well, let's look at reading. Oh, the word, it gives me, it's such a trigger word for me. Reading for a lot of our kids is a trigger word. But what if we're able to reshape the perception of reading to, oh, it's just another obstacle like getting up off the couch to go work out? What if that is how we start looking at our challenges in the school instead of it just being this whole thing? And then it becomes communication. So self-advocacy. So here's another thing, Jared, okay? And again, if you, those of you watching, if you do have questions, feel free to like shout it out. I'm here for you, okay? And we both are. But self-advocacy, because like, what do we do with these newfound skills? We can teach a kid all we want, the structured literacy, you know, different strategies and all that. But if our kids don't have the skills and the tools to articulate the way they learn to those who don't understand, like a teacher, a boss, a parent, or a friend, that work isn't going to be and have the impact that we'd want. Okay? That is very, very important. So my mission is to empower the next generation to want to own the way they learn and embrace it, but then using their skills to self-advocate and to get what they need and what they want to communicate. And that is only possible. Ready? Here we go. You can't self-advocate without having confidence. You can't have confidence without having a high self-esteem. You can't have a high self-esteem without knowing how you learn. Got to start from the beginning.
Makes sense. So it's awesome. And if people want to learn more, where can they find you? Where can they dive into this?
They can find us at superpowerconsulting.com. Okay. You're also a mentor. That's the word in the street also. But you know, we're all here. So you can find us at superpowerconsulting.com. You can personally reach out to me. On my Facebook page, you can reach out to Jared. But the big thing here, superpowerconsulting.com, you can email me, Jake at superpowerconsulting.com. But Superpower Consulting, that's the big thing right there. You can check out some of our mentors on the bottom. You'll be able to scroll and check them out. But yeah.
Very, very cool. All right. So for the audience, let's look at the rocket ship. Like, do you want to explain?
Oh, this?
Yeah. What do you got?
Okay. Yeah. I know that a lot of you you see this. So the rocket ship this is one of the coolest things. Like, I first learned this a few years ago, where if you look at a rocket ship, what's the point of a rocket ship? Well, when a rocket ship launches, it goes the slowest and it burns the most fuel. All right. But as it gets faster and higher, that rocket ship becomes faster because the air gets thinner, and eventually it becomes so fast, and as gravity is trying to pull it down back to Earth, it's saying, no, I'm going to keep going. And then it breaks through the atmosphere into space, and then it becomes unstoppable. Now, how does this relate to our kids or to us? It's like starting a new habit. When you start a new habit, you burn the most fuel. You're the most exhausted. It's exhausting. You're tired. You become fatigued. But the more you do it, the more consistent you are. It becomes easier and easier and easier, just like a rocket ship launching. Now, to give you the example, I want you to think about backing out of your garage. Think about backing out of your garage, all of the things that you have to do to back out. Measuring the pressure of your foot on the pedal, determining the steering wheel, and also to measure the oncoming car that is about to hit you. So think about that. We do that in a snap of a finger, but whoever invented that probably thought people were crazy. That's habit.
That's awesome. All right, so here's the deal.
Tell me the deal.
It's a great analogy. So the deal is you get the last word of the night. What is your message? What would you like your message to be? What would you like people to know?
Oh my goodness. Wow. That's intense.
It is.
Give me a minute. Give me a
I will.
minute. I
Yeah,
need a
so
minute.
take your time. A reminder, we are with International Dyslexia Association Oregon branch. Um, you are not alone. Our Instagram handle, again, feel free to drop us a question tonight. If you have questions for Jake, we can answer them now. But we got all the contact information, so you can reach out to us anytime as well. What do
All
you
right.
got?
That was good timing. Oh, and I forgot. No, I'm just joking. You ready?
I'm ready.
I have so much control right now. It's like you all know what I'm going to say, or maybe not. Okay. I have another analogy, actually. But this is one of my biggest philosophies, and I want to share this with all of you. Every human being has a brain. At least I'd like to hope. Every human being has a brain, but no human being has the same mind. I'm going to say that again. Every human being has a brain, but no human being has the same mind, which means no human being learns the same. It doesn't matter what label you have. It doesn't matter if you're neurotypical. It doesn't matter if you have dyslexia, ADHD, autism, the whole, it doesn't matter, actually, because every human being learns differently. Okay? And when we have our kids who are comparing themselves, who are thinking of how their dyslexia may be holding them back, I want you to remember that. And I want you to tell your kids that. Because it's the day that they embrace themselves is going to be the day that they're going to be able to run free. How's that?
It's an awesome message. It's a great message. And Jake, appreciate you taking the time tonight,
It's my pleasure. It's my
joining
pleasure. Hope
us,
you all enjoyed.
and great message to end on. And thank you very much. And look forward to more conversations with Jake
Jared,
and Superpower Consultant.
yeah, really keep up the great work. You are such a leader, and I admire you. You are a role model for me in the work you're doing. I know that when I entered this space, I was following you, and I was like looking up to you. Like, you're doing some great things, man. And thank you for just everything that you do. And for those of you watching, it's a pleasure to meet you. Nice to see you again. Yeah.
Likewise, we got to get you out here to Oregon when things open back up again.
I'm coming. I'm
All right.
coming.
Awesome,
I'm
brother.
coming.
Have
All
a
right,
good one,
everybody.
man. Take
Have a
care.
good night.